Hello, it's 12 p.m. Welcome to Midday Live, just coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda. My name is Grace Hamwa Asare. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, Lankwantanan Medina Assembly demolished several structures belonging to squatters around Redco Flats. Also, officials responsible for the escape of a convicted drug offender from the Koforidua prisons to face stiffer punishment. On the international front, immigration officials in Malaysia say former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak has been banned from leaving the country. Let's go to our stories now. And a portion of land, a second demolition exercise is underway on the portion of land encroached upon by squatters around the Redco Flats at Medina. The first demolition exercise took place on Sunday. We now speak to the coordinating director of the Lankwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly, Charles Ashali Jani. Hello, sir. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Midday Live on TV3.
Afternoon, madam.
Yes, so sir, how far have you gone with today's demolition exercise?
Demolition is a follow-up to what we started last Sunday. We knocked most of the structures down on that Sunday. And as a follow-up, we've decided to remove all the debris and uncompleted structures down. So that's what we are doing. We've engaged Zoom Lion, who has suppliers with heavy trucks, and we are loading the debris from here to the dumping site so that we'll clear the land and make sure that we use it for other.
And were you able to get the assistance of the military in this second exercise?
No, after I put up the advert, Zoom Lion came to our rescue. So they brought their trucks and their heavy equipment, and that's what we are using now.
And would you say the area encroached upon has been totally cleared of squatters? Are we sure they are not coming back?
So they are not coming back because we are standing by and make sure that we put the police, Medina District Command in charge, whilst we also level the ground, demarcate the areas and give it out to the traders we found on the highways. And the taxi ranks, we are bringing them here so that the place will be occupied for economic usage.
So did you encounter any form of resistance or difficulty during the exercise?
No, not at all. Not at all. They themselves, they are aware, because after the Sunday exercise, we were still coming here, monitoring activities, and we are doing our minor decongestion. So they are aware that we are not relenting on our odds.
And before I let you go, do we have any plans of relocating these quarters to a different site?
Oh, no. Well, you see, they came here unannounced, they didn't inform anybody. It's illegal activity that they are doing here. So we don't have a place for anybody. Otherwise, whoever comes to Accra, it will be the duty of the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assembly to find a place for them. And that is not our duty.
All right. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Midday Live. I have been speaking with the coordinator of the Lankwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly, Charles Ashali Jani. Let's go to some other stories now. And the Sanitation Monitoring Task Force of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has arrested 15 persons for engaging in open defecation. The suspects have been arraigned before the Sanitation and Motor Courts in Accra.
Open defecation is still prevalent in the country despite the health implications on society. In 2017, Ghana ranked among the top 10 countries worldwide with the highest percentage of its population without decent toilets. A 2015 MDG joint monitoring program on sanitation and drinking water authored by the World Health Organization and the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF ranked Ghana 7th dirtiest country in the world with a sanitation coverage of 15%. As part of efforts to curtail the menace, the Sanitation Monitoring Task Force of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has arrested 15 persons engaging in open defecation around Jamestown and the Kolegono Beach.
We have intensified the efforts to ensure that we arrest all those who are indulging themselves in these acts, and we would ensure that the law will definitely take its course.
The AMA also encouraged households without toilet facilities to take advantage of the Own a Household Toilet at Half Price program.
The amount has been reduced drastically from 2,000 all the way to a minimum of 650 cedis. So there is no excuse for any household to say they can't afford it. You don't even need to pay the entire amount. You need to just make a commitment. The Assembly will move in to ensure that we do construction.
The Assembly also warned resident and public toilet operators who discharge liquid waste in public drains to desist from the practice.
So let's stay a while longer on issues of sanitation and open defecation. Let me take you through some statistics on open defecation in Ghana as well as around the world. Now, a report entitled Out of Order, released by WaterAid in 2017, states of the world's toilets indicated that Ghana was among the top 10 countries worldwide with the highest percentage of its population without decent toilet. Now, Ghana has about 85.7% of its population without decent toilet, and this equals about 23 million people who suffer the fear and indignity of relieving themselves in the open or in an unsafe or unhygienic toilet. Still on open defecation, let's take a lot more. Now, between 2000 and 2012 and 2015, the number of people in the world defecating in the open dropped from 1.2 billion, that's 20% of the global population, to 892 million, that's 12%. Now, when it comes to revenue, Ghana is losing an average of $79 million annually due to this menace and is classified among 34 countries with the highest open defecation rate of 15% and above. That's according to statistics from UNICEF, and which is headed by Mr. Emmanuel Adai in December 2017. That is not all. Still on open defecation, Deputy Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, that's going forward, this is what government intends to do. The minister says that government has secured a grant of $42 million to provide water to about 150,000 homes and also build 200,000 household latrines. The grant, he said, was provided by the World Bank to ensure that water and toilets are available in Ghanaian homes. And so that's just the plan government has now to make sure that we get out of this situation. We'll be staying a while longer on this story and how it pans out and what government instead is doing with the grant or how far the money has been spent. But let's move away from open defecation to some other stories. And there's no bond so strong in the world than the love of a mother. In the following reports, Mary Grant Amwa tells a story on how a mother takes care of a child with cerebral palsy.
What Salome Jokoto does daily due to her child's condition. 10-year-old Shiba Jokoto has cerebral palsy and requires special attention. Salome says she is filled with joy with little Shiba around, although her condition is critical. Salome told the news team how her journey as a mother with a child with special needs has been.
Through living a delay sana eba.
I went through challenges while delivering my child. I had to go through an operation. There were complications.
The baby is too big, And lucky say,
the journey has not been easy from day one, she said. But she is not perturbed about reactions from other people owing to her child's condition. Salome recounted on some challenges she faces as a mother and how people perceived her child to be.
We face constant stigmatization, which is very difficult and discouraging situation for us.
Because it be Ben now, no sa asatana make us manya sisi ya miti okra me bokoset all the time I say me fa no shechi asa na me na akọ because e kwan no nya e befa ties ni sa anyama no na dia ko.
It's lunchtime and Shiba is refusing to eat. From the dining table, Shiba gets to her books. Salome encouraged parents not to hide their physically challenged children, but to show them love and affection. Salome is determined to see Shiba through her education to become a responsible adult.
Clap for yourself. Wow. Then R and A and I did you. R and I did you. Until besides, how are you? Candindi, how are you? I love you. Say you love me too. You love me too. You love me. Udomi pa. Udomi. For Satu me kono so udomi pa. Satu me kon. I'm so udomi pa. Me do why? I'll take care of you. Me show. Sa why? Na also bompa ya na me nya honde mfen show. So ati. Na me kiss back.
Let's still talk about mother's love, because she was newly married, had a new job, a new home, and to top it all, she was pregnant. And to top it all, she was pregnant. But what happens then? Life took a sudden twist, a complete turn that changed her life forever. Genevieve Patentin Preku is the epitome of turning lemons into lemonade as we celebrate Mother's Day.
Peritonite. Never would we have thought of not bringing you into this world? We'd do it all over again, and we wouldn't change anything.
At 10 weeks old, Giovanni had a MRI scan in Cape Town, South Africa, and the doctor confirmed Giovanni's condition as more of a neurological problem that couldn't be corrected by surgery. But Genevieve has handled motherhood seamlessly.
And I'm so proud of her. You know, the way she does her research and things, and she's not going to give up right now. I don't think she'll ever give up.
As we celebrate Mother's Day, Genevieve has one message for all mothers: that love your children unconditionally.
Your story alone has inspired me to be strong, and I'm very grateful for it. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all mothers.
Interesting reports there on mother's love, but let's move away from that and talk education, because Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, Peter Pate-Anti, is calling for stiffer punishment for teachers who engage in sexual relations with pupils. Speaking on News 360 earlier, he also called for the prosecution of such teachers even after the GES has taken actions against them.
I think that it is important we are throwing light on this particular challenge in our secondary schools, because somewhere around 2009, a study was conducted that showed that almost 27.7% of girls undergo sexual abuse in our secondary schools. I was just looking at a report by the DOPS to 2016, and that puts the percentage around 30%. So it is important that we are throwing light on this particular issue at this point in time. We go to other jurisdictions. The teacher, if he is engaged in such activities, is seen as criminal because the teacher is in a position of trust. Now, according to our structure in Ghana, and as we are putting together now, the National Teaching Council is supposed to maintain professional standards of teachers. Of course, there is a code of conduct for teachers that teachers are supposed to go by, and therefore, if you look through the code of conduct, you will see that sexual abuse and sexual harassment is seen as a major offense that will lead to even withdrawal of the person's certificate or dismissal from the Ghana Education Service. So this is how serious we see this particular incident. But the point is that in our country, the teaching, which is supposed to be a profession, is not seen as such, and that is why we brought in the National Teaching Council. So if you are able to work well with the National Teaching Council and they are able to set standards for our teachers, then the time will come when a teacher is engaged in some of these things, irrespective of whether it is consensual or not consensual, because the Code of Conduct states that whether it is willing or unwilling, the teacher is still held responsible. Then we will see instances where teachers will be sacked from their school, they will be demoted, or they will be put before the law court and jailed for engaging in such activities. It is professionally unright for any teacher, whether consensual or unconsensual, to engage in such act. And it is time that we drive this particular point straight into the heads of our teachers.
This evening, I'm grateful, Pate-Anti.
Let's stay a while longer on this story and speak with the Executive Director of Child's Rights International, Bright Appiah, who joins me on the phone lines. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Appiah, so how should GES be handling this issue?
Yeah, well, GES has its own internal systems of dealing with issues that happen within the school environment. And one of the things that they failed to do has to do with issues that are criminal in nature. So that is a kind of approach that we expect them to do by referring matters of criminal nature to the appropriate institution for them to deal with. If it borders on administrative purposes, for that one, they can do it. But once it falls outside their purview in terms of the cause, then we expect them to refer some of these things to the appropriate institution for action.
And Tapia, so you have been following these issues and you see the trend. How do you think teacher and student relationship issues should be addressed?
Well, it is as a teacher, your conduct is supposed to be in a certain context. That you find yourself in a professional position, therefore, there are certain things that you cannot compromise on. So you need to exhibit that. Once you fail to do that, I think that the system must respond to it, following certain administrative processes so that it be dealt with. Because people bring their children to school for the purpose of learning. Beyond that, there's nothing else that you can ascribe to. So clearly, if teachers are involved in this kind of activity, then it questions the mode of training in terms of how we train professional teachers in this country and the mandate that you have given to them. So we need to review their conduct in that environment and then also review the curriculum in terms of the training that we give to them so that psychologically they can prepare themselves to really handle our children in a manner that they deserve.
Ms. Apia, thank you for your time. I have been speaking with the Executive Director of Child's Rights International, Bright Apia. This is still Midday Live on TV3. My name is Grace Hamwap. We're back with some more stories after this break. Don't go away. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Welcome back from the break. Let's do business now. And the turf war between the Energy Ministry and officials of the Tema Oil Refinery tour does not appear to be ending anytime soon. Barely 24 hours after the Energy Ministry claimed it had informed tour officials about plans to turn the refinery into a tank farm, the management and board of tour insists no such discussion took place. Rather, Isaac Osei led management of TOR said neither he, the board, nor workers of TOR will agree to proposals that would turn TOR into a tank farm. The Energy Minister, Boachi Ejaku, announced plans by the government to build a new refinery of about 150,000 barrels capacity to take care of the new industrial drive government wants to embark on. So earlier on the story, Alfred Okanse spoke with energy expert Kojo Nsafwa Poku on News 360, and he began by asking him what, in his view, has led to the disagreements between the Tema Oil Refinery management and the Ministry of Energy.
It started off when the minister made the comment that Tema Oil Refinery will be converted into a tank farm. He had made that comment earlier, I think some months ago, and repeated that comment in OTC in Houston, which came as a surprise to everybody, because I think when you look at what is really going on, he did not say exactly or did not elaborate on what he meant. So I would say he misspoke. If you look at the communique or the news release that Amin put out there yesterday, that seemed to be a bit more like what the ministry wanted to put out. What does the communique say? It says that the ministry will help Tema Oil Refinery to put up a new refinery of 150,000 barrels per day. And it will leverage on the existing storage facility that the existing toll has. What that means is that nobody is scrapping Tema Oil Refinery. Government intends to help Tema Oil Refinery build a new refinery. But when the minister now said that they are going to scrap, now you don't know whether those are his exact words or is the media that is changing his words. So what I advise is that the management and board of Tema Oil Refinery should have a meeting with the ministry and to trash out this miscommunication. Because if you look at the communique that Amin put out yesterday, it's in line with what TOR wants to do. You know, Tema Oil Refinery technically is viable. It has been mismanaged. That is why we all see the problem where the media thinks that Tema Oil Refinery is not feasible.
You
cannot.
you see, that's the point. The point about them sitting and talking about this is where everybody else would make that recommendation. But here's the case where the refinery management is saying that, look, the energy ministry is positioning that they had already had a conversation about this or some consultation had taken place before this point. It's not true. Neither the management nor the workers are aware of any form of conversation or consultation about this particular proposal. And so, I mean, look, what's viable? What's really the way to go with this?
Let's put the conversation in context. The conversation to scrap Tor, nobody have had that conversation. The management and board of Taba Oil Refinery had not had a conversation with the ministry to scrap Tor and convert it into a tank farm. But there has been a conversation to help Tor build a new refinery. So there are two different conversations. Let's get it right. There's been a conversation for the government to help Tor build a new refinery, which is 150,000 barrels per day, adjacent the existing refinery. It is going to be run side by side the existing refinery and leverage on the existing tank storage that Tor has. So it's different conversation from when somebody say that I'm going to scrap it and turn it into a tank farm.
Stay with TV3 Business because we're following up on the story on how the conversation ends. But away from that, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has warned spare parts dealers in the country to be candid in declaring the cost of the imported goods for the right taxes to be paid on them. Commissioner of Customs Isaac Crensel, who engaged the spare parts dealers to negotiate some custom charges on their goods, said anybody caught dishonestly understating cost of goods will pay a penalty.
Spare parts dealers at the Bosokai Spare Parts Hub have been complaining about import charges they consider hidden and the attitude of some custom officials who they accuse of being corrupt. Among the grievances were penalties which they said they suffer due to wrong calculations by officials at the port and several unprofessional behaviors of customs officials. Clement Boateng, acting chairman of Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, explained that despite the removal of 10% import duty charge, they were still paying high prices for other charges at the port.
After 3-4 months, we saw that what we were paying initially and what we are paying after 3 months to the implementation of the abolishment of the duty was on the higher side. So then we started complaining, and there were lots of agitations, from our members. So then the commissioner was tasked, to meet us to see how best we will address, this problem.
Commissioner of Customs Isaac Crensel acknowledged that there were indeed some discrepancies in the valuation processes, but said measures have been put in place to work hand in hand with spare parts dealers to rectify the situation.
We realized that there were challenges in the values. They were complaining. So we decided that what price were they getting from their suppliers outside? They should come and tell us. They came with prices, especially the used ones. We look at it and realize that for business to continue, we accepted that prices. But with the new spare parts, we have to negotiate. Because sometimes some of us were up and sometimes some of them were down.
To some other stories now, President Nana Akufo-Addo has stated that the use of the country's oil revenue to fund the free senior high school policy, which is guaranteeing all Ghanaian school-going children access to senior high school education, is appropriate. President Akufo-Addo disclosed this on Friday when he delivered the keynote address at the 2018 Oxford Africa Conference at University of Oxford in the UK. He said as a result of the implementation of the free SHS policy, his government is laying a strong foundation for an educated and skilled workforce of the future, adding that we are investing in our future scientists, engineers, modern farmers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and transformation agents. He said as a result of the implementation of the free SHS policy, his government is laying a strong foundation for an educated and skilled workforce of the future, adding that we are investing in our future scientists, engineers, modern farmers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and transformation agents. President Akufo-Addo said we are using some of the income from our oil revenue to fund the program. I believe strongly that this is the most equitable and transparent use of the oil revenue instead of it finding its way into the pockets of politicians and bureaucrats. This year, the Akufo-Addo government has announced that it will spend 453 million Ghana cedis of Ghana's oil revenue on funding free SHS, more than double the amount spent last year on funding the policy. Addressing the gathering on the theme Enough Rhetoric Catalyzing an Era of Concrete Action, the president stated that his administration has embarked on shifting the emphasis in education to ensure that science, technology, engineering and mathematics drive all sectors of the economy. Touching on the issue of trade, President Akufo-Addo stated that the ratification of the Continental Free Trade Agreement by the Ghanaian Parliament would mean that the era of low volumes of intracontinental trade that have defined the activities of African economies will come to an end. He noted that with Africa's population set to increase from 1.2 billion to 2 billion in 20 years, an increase in intra-regional trade in Africa is the surest way to develop fruitful relations between African countries. This market, he explains, will present immense opportunities to bring wealth and prosperity to the African people with hard work, integrity, innovation, and enterprise. That's all we have for business. Log on to 3news.com for some more business stories. Let's do some other stories now. And officials responsible for the escape of a convicted drug offender from the Koforidua prisons are likely to face stiffer punishment if the escapee is not recaptured. At the sidelines of the induction ceremony of the Director General of the Prison Service, the Chief Public Relations Officer, Superintendent Vitalis Ayes stressed investigations have begun into the matter. A report by Godfred Tanam.
The convict Charles Ejie, who was serving a 10-year jail term, escaped when he and other inmates went out with some prison officers to fetch firewood at a Kondum between Koforidua and Suhum. Charles Ejie, according to sources, had just begun serving his 10-year jail term after completing the initial 9 months slapped on him for attempting to escape from custody.
Don't usually say, because you came and you have this track record, we lock you in chains. IHL is added to your sentence and you must still work. Bottom line is that we ensure that the person we are taking out, he doesn't escape. If he escapes, there is a system in place to make sure we get redress. If he's recaptured, fine. If not recaptured, the officer who is responsible, you go through hell. You are charged, and then sometimes that can lead to your exit from the system.
Superintendent Vitalis Ayes admitted there are difficulties, but the service is putting in steps to make sure certain major issues such as overcrowding and smuggling foreign materials into the prisons are checked. At his induction ceremony, the new Director General of the service, Patrick Dakum-Misa, on his part stressed he will continue with the transformation agenda by modernizing structures, develop laws and policies in line with international resource development.
After being equipped with trade skills, prisoners need jobs after they are released from custody. They need housing and other social services which will help them withstand the initial shock they experience when they get out of prison. Under my tenure, therefore, the service will strengthen its collaboration with the churches, NGOs, and civil society groups in providing prisoners who are ready to learn with a trade or skills for their future resettlement.
He said he will create opportunities to generate income for the benefit of prisoners and officers instead of solely relying on central government. He added he will make the welfare of officers of the service the center of his administration. Patrick Dakum-Misa was confirmed as Director General of the prisons by the President on February 16, having been in acting position since March 27, 2017.
Away from the prisons, a former Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Murtala Mohammed, is questioning the viability of government's One District, One Factory program. The government this week said it had secured $400 million from China to kickstart the much-anticipated project. But speaking on New Day, the former Deputy Trade Minister said the Akufo-led government has consistently shown it cannot fulfill its One District, One Factory campaign promise.
Not a dime has been secured, and I think that this government needs to be truthful at all points in time.
It's been reported. Why do you say not a dime has been reported?
Why? Where is that money? Which bank? I mean, let's be very clear. You remember when His Excellency the Vice President traveled to China, he came back and said that he has secured billions of dollars. Where is that money? Let me be very clear. I'll be the happiest person to see that our business, the AGI, I have worked with them, profoundly as a Deputy Minister for Trade, and I do know the potentials that they have. I'll be very happy if they can access it. But I'm saying that 2018 is gone. One factory for 2017, gone. One district, one factory for 2018, gone.
We know the Chinese would have their interest. And having all the discussions ever since this concept, I mean, the one district, one factory, it's a brilliant concept that we really have to embrace it. And I'm glad that AGI had come on board, and we are all working towards getting the needed funding and the needed technical advice to make sure that this thing kicks off. The care here is that, yes, expectations must be measured so that we do not have so much on our hands, so much on the table, and then not meet the target that we set for ourselves. We need to manage the expectations of Ghanaians and of ourselves. The money coming had been confirmed. The Chinese are ready to give us the money, and so otherwise, why would they come all the way to Ghana? You went to China.
In fact, they came several times.
But you went to China to sign the loan,
no,
the agreement.
They came several times. We went to China, they came.
But the agreement was signed in China.
It doesn't matter where it is signed.
Here they have come, committed themselves.
So that's fine. I mean,
and yes, I'm certain, and then we are certain about that. Then we are measuring our expectations.
You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. We're back with sports after this break. Let's do some stories on the international front. About 7,000 candidates from rival coalition alliances are vying for seats in the 329-member assembly. Iraq is still struggling to rebuild itself after 4 years of war against Islamic State. Whoever wins will need to keep Iraq's fragile unity in the face of sectarian and separatist tensions. Iraqis can vote for rival list of candidates. Most are predominantly Shia or Sunni, though the Kurds have their own list. Now, the U.S. says it would be prepared to work with North Korea to achieve prosperity on a par with our South Korean friends. Speaking to reporters, the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has just returned from Pyongyang, said he had good talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Mr. Kim and President Donald Trump will meet in Singapore on June 12. Some other stories. Immigration officials in Malaysia say the former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak has been banned from leaving the country. He gave no reasons for the authorities' decision, but said he would abide by it. This comes after Mr. Najib said that he and his wife were planning to go on an overseas holiday on Saturday. That's all for updates on international fronts. Let's do some entertainment stories. On entertainment today, we celebrate a renowned high-life musician, Prince Nico Mbaga's composition of Sweet Mother, a timeless classic and a global anthem for mothers everywhere.
Presenting you
Born to a Nigerian mother and a Cameroonian father in Abakaliki, Nigeria in 1950, high-life musician Prince Nico Mbaga, better known as Nico Mbaga, became a household for his hit song Sweet Mother. Sung in Pidgin English, Sweet Mother became one of the top sellers in the history of Nigerian music in 1976 and sold more than 13 million copies. It is recognized as one of Africa's greatest songs.
When I did cry, my mother go carry me. She go say, my pikin, waiting you dey cry, yo, stop, 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 stop.
Mbaga played an important role in the evolution of African popular music with his soulful vocals, which created a unique hybrid of Igbo and Congolese guitar playing, uplifting high-life rhythms. On a repeat tour to England in 1982, the renowned high-life musician also became known for his flamboyant 1970s glam rock-inspired performances. Upon returning to Nigeria, Mbaga failed to match his early success. Leaving music, he turned his attention to managing the 4-star hotel that he owned, the Sweet Mother Hotel. Prince Nico Mbaga died in a motorcycle accident on June 24, 1997, leaving behind a timeless classic and a global anthem for mothers everywhere. Sweet Mother is a staple for Mother's Day and was voted Africa's favorite song by BBC.
If I don't sleep, my mother no go sleep. If I don't chop, my mother no go chop. She know dey tire, sweet mother. I no go forget the summer when you suffer for me, yeah, sweet mother, yeah, sweet mother, oh, yeah.
Timeless tune there. Before we go, here's how media journalist cartoonist Tilapia captured the week's major news items. That's it for Midday Live on TV3. Before we go, let's do a recap of the stories that came through as headlines. Lankwantanan, Medina Assembly demolished several structures belonging to squatters around Red Cove Flats. Also, officials responsible for the escape of a convicted drug offender from the Koforidua prisons to face stiffer punishment. And on the international front, immigration officials in Malaysia say former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak has been banned from leaving the country. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Grace Hamwa. So I log on to 3news.com for some more stories. Good afternoon.